Lily reached for her keys, and before she'd even touched the doorknob, her cat came running from the other room. Not toward the food bowl, not toward the window, straight to the front door. He rubbed against her legs once, sat down, and stared up at her like he already knew exactly what was about to happen. The strange part? She hadn't opened the door yet. She hadn't picked up his carrier. She hadn't shaken a treat bag. All she'd said was, "I'll be right back." Now, maybe you've had a moment like that. You casually say, "Dinner." Before you've even stood up, your cat is already waiting in the kitchen. You whisper, "Bedtime." A few seconds later, there's a cat sitting on your pillow like they received the evening schedule in advance. Call their name, and they look at you before you've even finished saying it. It's enough to make you wonder, does my cat actually understand these words? Or am I imagining the whole thing? Because cats don't understand human language the way we do. They aren't quietly translating your conversations while pretending not to care. Yet they often react to certain phrases with surprising accuracy. So what's really happening? Have they memorized words? Are they reading your voice? Or have they learned something that's actually much more useful than language? The answer changes the way you'll look at almost every conversation you have with your cat. Because what your cat is listening for usually isn't vocabulary at all, it's prediction. And once you understand that, Lily's cat waiting by the front door starts looking much less mysterious. But before we come back to him, there's one common misunderstanding we need to clear up first. 1. Your cat isn't learning words. They're learning what happens next. People sometimes imagine cats building tiny dictionaries in their heads. Breakfast, treat, outside, bedtime. It feels that way because they react so consistently. But cats usually aren't memorizing vocabulary the way humans do. They're learning patterns. Every day, the same events happen in the same order. You say, "Dinner." Then you walk into the kitchen. Open the cabinet, pick up the bowl. After enough repetitions, your cat no longer needs the entire sequence. The first clue is enough. The word simply predicts what comes next. That's why many cats react before you've finished speaking. Prediction is one of the most valuable survival skills an animal can have. The sooner they recognize a familiar pattern, the sooner they can prepare. That's also why context matters. Say dinner at 3 in the morning while standing in the bathroom, and many cats won't react the same way. The routine doesn't fit. Wrong place, wrong time. The word hasn't changed. Everything around it has. Most owners assume the word is doing all the work. Usually it's just one clue inside a much bigger routine. And that explains why one sound often gets your cat's attention more than any other. Their name. 2. Your cat's name isn't special because of the word. It's special because of you. Research suggests many cats recognize their own names, but recognition isn't the same as understanding. Your cat probably isn't thinking, "That's my name." Instead, it's one of the sounds that most often predicts interaction. You say it before dinner, before playtime, before reaching down for a quick scratch. Over months, their name becomes linked with your attention. Cats don't react to every sound they hear. They learn which sounds are worth responding to. Their name usually lands near the top of that list. Think of it less like an identity and more like a notification. Something involving my human might happen. That even shows up in homes with multiple cats. One name is called. Only one cat responds. Not because they've learned English, because they've learned which sound usually involves them. Which brings us back to Lily. She never said her cat's name, yet he still walked over. So what caught his attention? Not the word, the voice. 3. Your cat is listening to your voice, as much as your words. Say the exact same sentence twice. Once while relaxed. Once while frustrated because your cat has discovered that curtains are apparently climbing equipment. The words stay the same. Your voice doesn't. Cats pay close attention to rhythm, volume, and emotional tone. They're gathering information before you've even finished the sentence. That's one reason shouting rarely improves communication. A louder voice doesn't explain what you want. It simply changes the atmosphere. A calm voice, repeated day after day, becomes part of your cat's normal environment, like your footsteps, or the cabinet that opens before breakfast, or the blanket you unfold every evening. Those familiar sounds help life feel predictable. Lily noticed something similar. Her cat started walking toward the door before she'd finished saying, "I'll be right back." He wasn't waiting for every word. He'd already recognized the routine, which makes another everyday mystery much easier to explain. 4. Familiar phrases. Become part of your cat's daily map. Your cat doesn't need a clock to know bedtime is coming. Part of that comes from routine. Part comes from the phrases that always appear inside those routines. Good morning. I'm home. Time for bed. Those sentences become landmarks in the day, not because they're magical, because they reliably predict what happens next. Predictability matters to cats. It helps them understand what's about to happen. That's why owners often teach phrases without realizing it. Maybe every time you open the refrigerator, you joke, "Who's hungry?" Eventually, your cat appears, even if you're only grabbing juice. The phrase has become part of the routine. Lily eventually realized her cat wasn't reacting only to the words. There were other clues hiding in plain sight. 5. Your cat may be responding to the entire routine, not just your voice. Lily tried a small experiment. She picked up her keys, but stayed home. Her cat still walked to the front door. Then she said, "I'll be right back," without touching the keys. He still came over. Eventually, she realized it wasn't any single clue. It was the entire routine. The keys, the hallway, her shoes, the sentence, her movement through the house. Together, they created one familiar event. Cats combine those details into one prediction. That's why even small changes in your routine can briefly confuse them. If this is changing the way you see your cat, click the button and join us. Because once you start looking for patterns instead of vocabulary, everyday cat behavior becomes much easier to understand. Which leaves one final question. If cats aren't really learning language, why does talking to them still matter? 6. What your cat really learns is consistency. When you tell your cat, "I love you, I'll be right back, good job," they probably aren't translating those words into human ideas. They're learning what usually follows. A gentle hand, dinner arriving, a quiet evening together, your familiar voice. Over time, those experiences become linked, not to a dictionary definition, but to you. That's why two people can say the exact same sentence and get completely different reactions. The words are identical. The history isn't. Which brings us back to Lily. Weeks later, she noticed her cat reacted even when she whispered, "I'll be right back." It wasn't the volume. It wasn't perfect pronunciation. It was the routine she'd repeated for years. Every time she said those words, she came home again. That's what her cat had really learned. Not English. Consistency. So the next time your cat comes running after hearing a familiar phrase, you may not be watching them recognize words. You may be watching them recognize a pattern they trust. Welp, I'm gonna go. I just said 1 minute, and my cat has already decided that means supervising every single thing I'm about to do. FurEver.